Hello and welcome to the Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame. And to welcome this year's inductees, I'd like to welcome Phil Caplan, the chairman of the Leeds Rhinos Heritage Group.
Appreciation of backline flamboyance and flair has always been a staple of the Headingley crowd and a prerequisite for those who represent them. A young centre from Castleford Schools Rugby, who had been snapped up for the Headingley Juniors after showing early promise, certainly fitted the bill, and his coach had no hesitation in throwing the teenager into the fray with instant success, a long-range try on his debut signalling his potential. Playing at Wembley in 1971 off the bench while still only 18, he became a superb foil and provider for his winger outside him, personifying the centre's art in one of the best left-sided partnerships the game has seen. It brought him a hatful of winners' medals, 1 championship, 2 premiership, 2 Challenge Cup, John Player and Floodlit trophies and 5 Yorkshire Cups. His career glittered as much as his collection. He was a renowned try scorer as well as provider, claiming 14 in 17 games on the 1974 Lions tour, including in the 2nd and 3rd tests, and remains 8th on the all-time Leeds list with 193. He toured twice again with the England 1975 World Championship squad and 2 years later for Great Britain, playing in the World Cup final in Sydney, which Australia took by a point. He won 24 international caps over 8 years, but never lost his sheer enjoyment in being out there, rarely if ever suffering from nerves. He relished the big stage and memorably showed at Wembley in 1977 with a gloriously timed angled run for a sublime try which included rounding the Widner's full back with consummate grace. But he was also tough, direct, had a superb handoff and was immensely popular with his teammates. In 1983 he retired to run a bar in Benidorm, later working in the hospitality trade on the East Coast, before bidding a fond farewell at Headingley and having a spell at Bramley. The 15th inductee is Les Dyl, heritage number 1036, 434 appearances between 1970 and 85.
He came through our Colts team and through the A team and made the grade quite quickly and turned out to be electrifying speed, Les had. And he played left centre, where I played right centre of course, and played there for many, many years.
What a mop of hair he had, curly hair and his moustache a little bit. But on a serious note, Les, such a dominant player, and a dominant player in that area of the field, in the left centres area. But he dominated the era, and he dominated the position here at Leeds, forming a great relationship up with John Atkinson, and also the pace. That was his key. Knew how to run off another great player, John Holmes. They had it to a T, and then it probably lay it off to Atkins.
His main asset was his speed. I mean, he played with a winger called John Atkinson, who unfortunately passed away. But they both were very fast players and scored many tries between them.
A glittering career for the Loiners, for Leeds Rugby League. Some of the highlights, some of the matches that were your favourite memories?
Well, the Wembley games.
And 77 was a special one?
Yeah.
He played in the 77 and 78 when I stopped playing and was just the coach. And he had 2 outstanding finals, which we won both good games, one against St Helens and one against Widnes.
He scored in 77, did Les? He scored a try. Getting back to what I said earlier on, our top players, they love playing on big stages.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did. You know, the atmosphere were good, and we all rose to the occasion. And Les got a very good try against Widnes.
I mean, once he broke the line, there were no
That's it, you're in. Pace.
That was it.
Pace took him.
Holmes, inside to Dyl. Dyl's in with a chance. Dyl will score if he doesn't drop the ball. Dyl scores. Well, what a delighted Leeds bench and what a delighted Les Dyl always said about him. It comes to fruition, 8 points to Caplan.
Said to John Holmes, I'm going to look at winger. I'm going to run straight for him. And I jumped up in air when he looked at it when I'm not tackling him. But that was a good one.
With you and John Atkinson on one flank, always a chance of scoring.
Yeah, I were the fastest, I tell you.
Were you?
Yeah,
Faster than John Atkinson,
Yeah.
Alan Smith?
yeah. He was the fastest player on our books for me.
Yeah, he was.
Because he was so quick off the
I
mark.
think one of he's off the mark. Off the mark to make
Explosive.
it makes the initial break.
Yeah.
His speed was so natural, and he was such an easy player. That makes it easy for a coach when they've got natural ability.
Second half with Dyl. And Dyl's in. A chance here with Atkinson. It's whether he's given it too soon, but Atkinson in for a try.
Yeah, he was a class act, weren't he?
Yeah, it was.
There's
Yeah,
no
to play
doubt
all that
about
long,
it.
to play that time.
Play that time, and there was some good
For
ones
Great
about,
Britain.
and all.
Yeah, there was,
Some
yeah,
good
Paul,
centres.
yeah.
I'll tell you another good one at time when he came up here with Eddie Cunningham.
And he had a year with Eddie, didn't they?
Oh, with
Not
a
long
year
got
with
through
Eddie.
them two.
So, what a pair.
Yeah, there was as a matter of fact.
You know for a fact when Les had got the ball and he'd made a break,
it's a
it
fine
would end
field.
the story.
Correct.
And then the year after in 78, coming from behind to beat St Helens.
Yeah.
And that drop goal from John Holmes
Oh yeah, falling back.
on his left foot.
Yeah.
Six tackle coming up. Going to have a drop. Going to have a drop. He's got the goal with his left foot.
On other people in that team, there was David Ward, of course, the captain.
Yeah, I mean, David, Wardy, we went to Wembley, whether we played it there 17 times.
From my point of view, also, like from probably captaining the side in them areas, such a great help, an important member of the team.
And what about your mate Phil Cookson?
Oh, yeah, super.
I think his closest mate was Phil Cookson, without a doubt, because they both come from Normanton, which is a stronghold for Castleford players of all places. But yeah, both Phil and Les came from the far side of Yorkshire and made the mark at Leeds, of course. Both of them played a lot of years for Leeds Rugby League Club.
And he introduced you to alcohol, didn't he, Phil Cookson?
Didn't want to say anything about that.
He liked to drink, didn't he?
Yeah, just a bit. We all did.
We did, yeah.
You both played together for Great Britain 74, 75, is that right?
75 World Cup
75 in England.
Over in Australia.
Over in Australia, that's right, you did.
Yeah.
So you had the pleasure
Oh, aye.
of being with Les on tour.
Aye.
Did he lead you astray?
Yeah, that's the, yeah.
Now Phil Cookson said it was you that led him astray.
It's a try. It's a try. Try to Cookson. Try.
And some other characters in that Leeds team, Les, Tony Fisher.
Tony Fisher, hardest man I've ever known, but a good side, good side.
And what about your time in Australia, touring? Enjoyed that as well?
Went on tour in 74, and there were 28 games played in 23, and it was just ridiculous. The Aussies wanted done it.
And you played against some great Australian players, Les.
Yeah,
Who do you remember most?
Fulton.
Bobby Fulton.
Yeah, he came across. I thought, right, I'm going to whack you, everything I've got, bang. And he just pushed me off.
First of all, he worked for the environmental health.
You were a public health inspector.
Public health inspector in the Wakefield district, Emsworth district. And then you got to think about what happens after your life in rugby. And he took up the option of going to Benidorm, and in them early days. And then from Benidorm, he opened up a place in Bridlington. And I did go once in his early days.
I went over a couple of times because I had a caravan out in Brig, a static caravan years ago, and I used to call a couple of times to see Dilly.
I've been across to see him in Bridlington, and he's been there now a lot of years, of course. I think the first 2 years, of course, I went to see Les when they moved into the pub cum restaurant, and a little bit boarding house, you know, a bit of holiday accommodation. But they tell me he's not so well at the moment, and I send my regards to you, Les, and hope you get well soon.
Bridlington Amateur Rugby League Club, he phoned me up, did Les. Can I go across and present the medals for the Amateur Rugby League Club at end of season? And we had a good night, fabulous night, and he put me up, and I stayed at his place.
When he were at his best, he was probably the best centre in the world, without a doubt for me. Good all-round player, his pace were magnificent. And when he went, there were no catching him.
He'd be elated to think he's outside of his mate John Atkinson, of course, that got inducted into the Hall of Fame 2 years ago, like myself. He'd be over the moon.
I'm sure you're smiling, Les, now looking at me. And you're a fabulous character, and the award that is coming to you is well worth it, mate, well worth it indeed. You were a major player, Can't speak too highly of you, mate.
Les, it gives me great pleasure to present you with your silver salver and in an induction into the Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame.
Thank you. It's amazing, the Hall of Fame, and my name going to be up there.